Hi, my name's Titchmarsh from Dotnetarchitect in the UK. Today we're talking about using formulas in the data access layers. If you've been using IronSpeed for a while, you'll realise that the formulas is very powerful. You can type formulas into the application in the designer, which gets used at runtime to create, update, modify, enhance the operation of your application without having to delve into the C# or VB code, a bit like you use in Excel, for example, where you're typing in macros and creating your own formulas. These can be used, and you probably use them mainly in the presentation layer. Today we're talking about how we would use those in the data access layer. So let's just find out and recap what formulas are and where they are. So I've got a very simple application open that I've created, and we're looking at a list of countries. And those countries, I've got 242 of them in a table called country type. As you can see, we're looking in live preview, and I have a list of the countries before me. Obviously in design mode, we've got our page, and on the page you've got various buttons, controls, etc. Where would we use formulas? Well, we go to the formula tab below. Let's just pick an item on the page that has that. So we're going to look at the show country table, as we say, and let's look at the fields, for example. Go to formulas, and depending on which field I pick, of course, will depend what formula comes up, which is all very well when we're working on the presentation layer. We want to take that one step beyond that and talk about the business layer and the data access layer, where information is stored regarding the database. And that is shared information that every page, so if we've got the country used on many pages and we had a formula only on that page, then obviously the formula would only work on that page. What we're doing by moving that formula into the data access layer is making it shared across all pages that use country type. So it saves us having to repeat the same thing on every page. We just do it once in the data access layer. So what I mean there is, if we have code, for example, and I wanted to put some validation or enforce maybe uppercase, so you always entered it in uppercase. If I was to do it from the page, i.e. the UI level, presentation level, I could come in and I could validate, or I could, when adding or editing, depending on whether I've got the add page or the edit page up. Okay, but of course that only applies to this page. What I really want to do is go into the database tab, find my table, country type, find my field, code, and apply the formula at this level, so that when I'm inserting I can apply a formula, or updating I can apply a formula, or validating. So what I want to do is, just to see and show you how this works, let's say I want to make sure, we'll break this into two. The first change will be, let's make sure the code is always uppercase. Okay, so even if the user types it in lowercase in the interface, it gets saved as uppercase. Okay, obviously this is just an example. There are 1,000,001 different things you can do. Really, you're just restricted by your imagination and requirements. So let's pick, as we say, the code. And we're going to, when we're updating into the database, either as an insert or an update. So let's say we're going to insert, so we put here. The formula we want to apply is uppercase the code. So we can very easily find the functions. Okay, and we have string, and we have upper. And as you can see, it's now waiting for us to type in code. Okay. Just move that, that's it. So we're saying equals uppercase the code. Okay, we can copy that now, and when we are updating we want to do the same thing. If we now build that, okay, and we're going to go back into our pages. Let's go and show that in live preview mode. Just wait for that to come up. Country type, let's just bring this up. Let's pick, it doesn't really matter, let's just pick one from the list. In fact, let's look for United. Here we are, United States. So the code at the moment is already US. Okay, let's just change that to lowercase xx. Okay. Now when we save that, we expect that to uppercase whatever I've typed in. So we'll hit the save, and sure enough, it's uppercased United States. Okay, that's brilliant so far. If we now go and do a similar thing but on the validation, we can add our own validation at the database level. So again, we pick our field, which is code, and we want to validate, say, when updating record. Again, tick the entry, and we can type in our formula. Functions, we're going to put some logical functions, so we say if. So if when this condition, print that, else do that. So I'm going to put in a condition, something along the lines, so if code is equal to XX, then that's not allowed. So let's say XX is not allowed, for example. If it's not XX, then that's okay. We don't want to display any error, just carry on. So this little fragment here will do some validation. If the code is equal to XX, print an error. Don't update the record, else we're okay. So let's go and build, and then we're going to run the application. Back to pages, live preview. Let's bring up the page, and we're going to edit the record. Let's just edit the first one, for example. Let's type in the code XX, and this time we should fail the validation. Record won't be saved, and an error message will pop up. And there it is, XX is not allowed. So if I now change that, okay, and then save, this time I expect it to be saved and no validation error. There we go. So there you go. You can see how easy it is to add formulas at the data access layer. Big advantage being, of course, as I mentioned earlier, all records that go into that particular field table, doesn't matter where they've come from in your application, all go through this validation and or saving process. Rather than at a page level, it happens at the database level, essentially. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that. My name's Titchmarsh from Dotnetarchitect, and thank you for listening.